Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Super Soldier Talk. My name is James Rink, and hold on, let me just mute this. It keeps going on all the time. So, I am a super soldier, and I was utilized in the secret space program. And I believe I'm still active, but today it's not about me. It is about Michael Macintosh. Thank you so much, Michael, for joining us here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I know. I feel like in presence of a celebrity. I mean, oh my gosh, President Macintosh. Oh my gosh, have you like thought about that in your head?
Yeah, it seems. I mean, it's a job, and someone has to do it. So it's not like I would think really
Mark said
highly of
yes.
myself because of being forced into that position, frankly, or that I think highly of another person because they're in that job either. To me, it's just a job, and we have it there to serve a purpose and to serve uh, a function in our country. And that's the way I've always looked at it. And I think it should be there to be used to serve the people. And if I end up in that position, that's what I would hope to do with it.
So yeah. So thank you, Michael, for that. So for those of you who are wondering what in the world we talk about, president of what? I'm guessing it's going to be the future of the United States. And I think we're going to switch over to a republic and get rid of the corporation. So you might be like what the second president of the court. Anyway, we're gonna get to that just a bit, but hold your thoughts. Hold your thoughts. Comment just about. Let me read. So Michael is a time traveler, musician, carpenter, investor, and minister, ordained minister. He has multiple degrees from Harvard, including business and law, as well as a almost completed degree in computer science. From there, he went to Cornell University and received a degree in quantum physics. Am I getting this right?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay, good. When he went through a car accident, he began doing regression therapy sessions to heal his trauma. At that point, he realized he was in a certain top secret type programs, and his memories were suppressed through memory wipe technology. After he working through the trauma, he realized as a child he worked with the different alphabet groups from which his dad was also involved with, that was experimenting with teleportation and time travel. So from
Mhm.
there, he would travel from Calgary to El Segundo, California, and then to Mars. He has met Barack Obama, Harry Truman in 1945 to 1947 when he went back in time. You were on the crashed vessel at Roswell. So as a 14, I think you said you were 14 years old.
At that point, I was 45, actually, roughly. It was 2019, so
Okay.
April, whatever age I was then. I think I would have been
If
44, 45-ish.
okay, so you were 45, so you were sent back in time with the gray. I guess grays were on that ship too.
Hmm.
Yeah. So the first thing, what were the I tell you what, let me just I'll go through this and then no, we'll ask you a question. I know I'm so excited about this. Is I love time travel shows, honestly. It's like my favorite genre, any science fiction movie and all that. But actually they may actually be self-disclosure. Okay, so anyway, all right. So from there, yeah, the military got a hold of you, and you said you wanted to talk to the president, who was Harry Truman at the time. And then they thought they asked if you were German, but you said no, you were from the future. So then you got to meet Roscoe Hillenkoetter, who was a member of MJ12 and also an admiral. And I think was it Corey Good who talks about being on the Hillenkoetter and the Solar Warden. So which doesn't surprise me because like the first was 1977. My gosh, I should know. It's 1981. That's right. During Star Wars is when Solar Warden. Well, it existed before then, but that's when, anyway. It came into being. So you also met Bill Gates and Andrew Basiago, and you've been into the future in 2082 to review historical records to see who our future presidents will be. Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're going to have to explain that one because I thought foreigners are not allowed to be presidents. But in 2044, Michael Macintosh, one term in 28 and one term in 2068. Andrew Basiago in 2036. Alex Jones in 2048, and Ann Coulter in 2040, etc. So that was only the short list. But oh my gosh, where should we even get? How about you comment about Arnold Schwarzenegger? What can you tell us about that?
Sure. Well, to my knowledge, we're about to change the law in regard to presidential eligibility anyway. So I think that if and when that changes, someone like Arnold, who isn't really a foreigner anymore, he's lived in the United States since the 1960s. He's a United States citizen. He's really more American than probably most Americans at this point. He's been governor of California. He's got the experience needed to run the country. And so maybe it has something to do with the law in that regard. But my understanding of law anyway, and the natural born citizenship clause, is that he was actually born in what at the time was United States territory, which was Allied occupied Austria. So he was in fact born a United States citizen anyway, even though he probably doesn't necessarily realize that. But it's sort of akin to someone having been born in, say, Arizona when it was a territory. That's what Austria was when Schwarzenegger was born. So maybe there's some technical eligibility there that the public isn't generally aware of, but from a legal standpoint would include him as eligible for the presidency. I don't know. I guess we'll see when we get there.
Wow. So many questions. So was he a good president? Did the historical record say, oh?
I'm really not sure,
Okay.
but I hope so. I don't know Arnold. I've never met him or talked with him, but
Here's a good question though. So let's see here. So let me look this up here. Give me a moment. I'm gonna do. So he was, oh my gosh, he was born in 1947. So he's currently 76 years old. So you say he's going to be president in 20. So he, what was it? 20? I say 2044.
I believe that's what I was able to
96
ascertain.
years
Yeah,
old.
so 2044.
So he's going to be 96 years old. So
Maybe it was 2040. Actually, it might have been 2040. If I'm actually remembering correctly, I believe it was 2040. Actually, excuse my inaccuracy, but these are memories that I had to deeply regress into obtaining, and from experiences that happened to me when I was about 5 years old. So you're talking 40 years of memories that were actually suppressed. And then I had to deep dive into my own memory to kind of draw them out. It took a lot of meditation and relaxation and proper environment, and using like altering frequencies around me and all kinds of stuff. It was very intensive. And so I'm finding that sometimes the things that I'm remembering may not be entirely completely accurate. Like, for instance, initially I thought that I would end up becoming the president of the United States in 2024. I think it's pretty clear that at this point, that's probably not going to happen. I think we're going to have either President Biden again or another Donald Trump. I think it's probably more likely Donald Trump personally, but I'm not on either side in that argument. So, but it looks to me like perhaps unfortunately another 4 years of Donald Trump. But it seems to me like if I do end up in that position, it won't be until 2028.
okay, wow. Let's go through all this. So, are you at liberty to tell us what year you were born?
Yeah, I was born in 1974.
Okay, so let's just do some mathematics. So you say you're going to be president in 2068 and 1974. So that means you're going to be 94 years old in your second term. So exactly.
Apparently.
Yeah. So how does that work?
Well, I'll be 94 years old, and to my recollection, which hasn't happened yet, which is really weird. And I think I'll live that long, honestly, even without any kind of healthcare, technical, scientific intervention, because I come from a long line of people who have actually lived to be quite old, and I'm really quite boring. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I sleep properly. You know, I'm like, I don't take drugs, or I don't overwork myself or anything like that. So I'm kind of suited to be 100 at least, I think. You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you know if is there technology released that increases people's lifespans?
It's possible. I really did not find out any of that information, but it is certainly possible. I would say it's indeed probable that healthcare developments will help people to live longer, as long as people know how to use healthcare advancements and sort of don't, as education about healthcare increases, I think also is the main thing.
Well, do you know what kind of president Alex Jones makes? Did you look at any specific examples in the historical archives?
I don't know. I would assume that Alex Jones becomes president because of his outspokenness. I mean, he's obviously a very outspoken person and has been very outspoken and has done a lot for the First Amendment of the United States, if we really think about it. When nobody else was on the air talking about stuff, Alex Jones was there, blah, blah, blahing away and shouting and hooting and hollering. And so maybe it's just America paying back a debt to Alex Jones by giving him some more work to do. I really don't know, but that's what I was able to figure out.
Wow.
Alex Jones in 2040, that would be 2044. No, sorry, 2048. Excuse me, 2048.
Okay.
And that would be for 4 years. And in between Arnold and Alex would be a woman who we know today, Ann Coulter, who is a well-known writer and sort of conservative commentator, has been very critical of Donald Trump, and from Connecticut, my old neighborhood. So apparently she's going to be my vice president also before then, which is weird. So,
wow. Have you actually contacted her yet about it?
I have contacted her. I've not received any response, but maybe, as I said, it's a little too early for me to kind of get into actually putting a real campaign together. Because initially I did think it was going to be 2024, but thinking about it further, it doesn't seem likely. It seems like it's probably 2028, and that just my memory is not serving me completely accurately.
Wow. Can you tell us any other any names that you think might what the historical records show from that particular point in the timeline?
Yeah, of people that you would know, there's the famous lawyer from Washington State, Andrew Basiago.
Oh yeah.
Is
I mean,
to my recollection, going to be president at some point. I believe that it will probably be, let's see, 2020, 32, probably 2032.
36.
No, 36, yeah, 36. I think he'll probably end up being the vice president in 2032, and that's how he makes his way to the presidency. And there's a young woman named Yolanda King who I think is going to be the president in 2032. And
Who is that again? Yolanda King.
Yolanda Renee King. She is the granddaughter of Martin Luther King Jr.
Oh, that's right. Wow, because if the FBI didn't take him out, then King would have most likely been president, and we would have had much more integration between the different races here in the United States on that particular timeline. It's my opinion.
I think, yeah, probably you're right, and I think it's also noteworthy that Yolanda is not just African American, Black, whatever term you want to use. She's also a young woman. She's only 14 or something right now. So in 2032, she'll only be in her 20s. So it seems like we are definitely on course to changing the legal requirement for the office of president, because right now you have to be 35 years old for starters.
Interesting. I'm looking up right now. Yolanda King, was this the same one that was born in 1955, or is this a different one?
This is a different one. She's very young right now. I think she's only about 14 or so at the moment.
I'm looking right now. I think this might be her. 15-year-old. Let me see. I'll pull this up. And guys, we're gonna explain. He's gonna explain just a minute how in the world he got all this information. We're gonna get to that just a bit. Just hold on a second. Oh my gosh. Let's see here. Just had it here. Why is it not showing up? Let me try this again. So there we go. Here we go. I'm so sorry for all these ads, and I should use an ad blocker on this browser. So yeah, we got Martin Luther King Jr. inspired millions of people. Okay, 15-year-olds released a picture. We Dream a World. Yolanda Renee King.
Yeah,
granddaughter. And there she is right there.
Yeah, she's all over the place right now if you Google search her.
Wow.
She's considered an author for now, but I believe she is a future president of the United States. So there you have that. I mean,
somebody said this. I heard that Dr. King's granddaughter was going to be president from another time travel on YouTube a few years ago. I wonder if that was Andrew Basiago.
I do not know.
Okay, all right. So you're saying the United States basically doesn't go through any kind of civil war or nuclear war or nothing like that. It's everything's okay, essentially.
Yeah, as far as I was able to tell, we did almost have some very serious things happening in recent history, but those were averted. We almost did have World War III.
Yeah, essentially, it was Dr. I think Dr. Wu. I was so he was a Chinese quantum physicist who was working on supercomputers there in an underground facility, but he managed to smuggle a supercomputer out. And but the long story is, his supercomputer was looking in. It said they can look into not only it could look in the future, but other alternate timelines. So this quantum supercomputer was predicting that there was going to be an explosion in Times Square. It was like, I think it was in 22, like March. And it was really weird. On that same day, it was all we had we stand with the Ukraine signs all over Times Square. You can go look it up and see what exact day it was. And they were going to, basically the cabal was going to detonate a bomb and then blame it on Russia, and then nukes would start flying, and then we would learn that they had hypersonic nukes, and they shot all of ours out of the sky, and the United States turned into dust. It was pretty bad. So that, thankfully, that was all stopped.
I think we need to realize that there are definitely people in this world who want the United States and Russia and China at each other's throats for any reason that they can muster up to make that a reason for that to happen. And as long as we're collectively aware of that, then it won't happen. If we forget that this is what people are trying to make happen and think that we start forming these sides in our head, that's how it's actually possible. But if we realize that it's just, what the media says about Russia, America, and this kind of Russia versus America, most of the time it's just not even true. And like I was talking to somebody from Ukraine recently, and she was telling me very plainly that most of what's being said about what's going on there is completely untrue in the media. So I think that to hear that straight from the mouth of a person who just came from Ukraine is certainly an affirmation of that.
Wow. Well, so Michael, can you explain what it like? How did you actually get to the future?
Okay, this is. I'll go into that. Okay, what happened? I was living with my parents in Calgary, Alberta, where my dad was working for a short while. When I would have been about 5 or 6. Yeah, I was around that age, and he was military. So when he got out of the military, though, he ended up working for the military as a construction project electrical engineer, like an electrician, electrical engineer, etc., on pretty complicated stuff that they couldn't trust just any ordinary clearance person to work on. So they gave it to him because of his military background. And so one time he was working on this project that involved literal teleportation, which people have heard about before, but this is my experience with it. I was literally used as a test subject in this project that he was working on, a teleportation station that was in Calgary, Alberta, on Lincoln Park Air Force Base, which was the first ever joint U.S.-Canadian Air Force base set up after World War II. So if you know anything about the Air Force, it was what's now known as Space Force was actually a very small division of the Air Force originally back in 1947. So it was sort of the genesis of Space Force and the quote unquote secret space program was at these types of Air Force bases, that being one of them, I'm almost certain. So they took, but my kindergarten class was right near the base. We lived right off the base. And so one day I was in my class. These guys in suits came, asked my teacher to take me out of the class. They took me out of the class, did all this paperwork, and asked me if I wanted to help them with something. So I said, sure, and they took me in this car to the Air Force Base into this hangar. And there I was with a bunch of guys, and my dad was there. And they sent me through this. I don't know how to describe it other than saying it was like the security devices at a drugstore or something when you walk in and it goes beep, beep, beep. If you've stolen something or you forgot to demagnetize your security tag. It was sort of like that. And you walk through it, and next thing you know, you're in another place. It's like it teleports you to another location. And I went through it, and suddenly I was in California, where I was picked up by 2 guys who then brought me to meet another guy who was then 19-year-old Barack Obama. And from there, we went to another place, which was a building in El Segundo, just south of the airport. And we teleported again up to a location on the surface of Mars where I was used to remote view the surface of Mars. Because of my ethnic background, I have sort of built into my DNA the ability to what they call remote view. So the CIA wanted to use someone like me to remote view the surface of Mars so they could get more information about it. So we did that. And there's a declassified paper on the CIA website that details specifically what we were able to find. So that's, you can go check that out if you like. It's CIA Remote Viewing Mars. But anyway, after that, they sent me back.
So were you responsible for working on that paper, the actual documents?
Yeah, I
So,
was the remote viewer who communicated what I saw to Barack Obama, who then recorded it on a tape recorder or something. He had to record his voice, and it was then later transcribed and declassified by the Central Intelligence Agency. It's on their website.
was that in 1984?
It was written down in 1984. It didn't actually happen in 1984, but it was transcribed in 1984.
Oh, wow. Here it is. So a psychic spy. So what did it say here? So what can you tell us briefly? Let's just, this is too many ads. Gosh, too many ads. So tell us what did you actually see when you remote viewed Mars?
Okay. Well, there's a sort of confusion in terms, like remote viewing is one thing, and then there's another thing called chronovision, which is a different ability that I also have, by the way. But so I was actually chronovising the surface of Mars, and I was used to ascertain that there had actually been a civilization on Mars at one point, and that it had basically obliterated itself. And it was no longer there, obviously, since we can't see it or anything right now. But this is why you see all sorts of remnants of things all over the surface of Mars that are anomalous. It's because they're part of a civilization that used to exist but is no longer there and was decimated. So that's what I was there to find out, and I found that out.
So that was about 500,000 years ago was the last time they had their golden age civilization on Mars.
Yeah, it was definitely a long time ago. I can't quite still figure out how long ago. Yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know.
But there's still ruins there. And did you ever get to explore any of those ruins?
Somewhat, but not very much, because there is actually life on Mars, and it's very hungry and very dangerous. So you wouldn't want to just go wandering around on the surface of Mars without
archaeological digs.
Yeah, it would be very dangerous. To my knowledge, lots of people have done the same thing that I did, but most of them have not come back because of the fact that there is actually life on Mars, and it's hungry, and it has just eaten people who went up there. So
can you describe what these creatures look like?
There's a lot of Mars has a lot of different species, but the ones that were hungry were sort of like, I mean, I was little, so to me they were big, but if I think about it now, they're probably about human sized, like full-grown human sized.
Like a rat type creature?
Well, the only thing on Earth that I could compare them to would be like a pill, pill bugs that they have like maybe like a giant scorpion or something, but without the tail. Almost like a big bug, but like a human-sized bug, Not really like much of anything that I could you could pinpoint on Earth.
So here's a
But
scorpion without a tail.
yeah, something like that, but really big, like human sized. So this is, yeah, spiders on Mars, really.
Is that really a David Bowie song?
This David Bowie and the Spiders of Mars, right? I'm familiar.
Is that? Can
The
somebody answer that?
Ziggy Stardust's Spiders from Mars. But yeah, there's a lot of allusion to this kind of stuff throughout popular culture, which is, I think, very interesting.
Wow. So did you actually eyewitness personally these creatures?
I did, yeah. Um, so we didn't spend too much time near or on the surface. There's underground cavern facilities that you can teleport up into and be underground, but close to the surface. And it looks like it looked to me like people go up there regularly because there were like construction gang boxes and tools and things of that nature just lying there. So it seems like they were there for
Hmm.
regular use.
Is there like internet on Mars? I think they call it MarsNet. But did you ever get access to that or the
Oh,
news broadcast?
no, I don't know anything about that because, like I said, at the time I was just a 5, 6 year old child, and I wouldn't they wouldn't have let me have access to any of that stuff really. But
So was Barack Obama with you at this time?
yeah, he was with me the whole time. The first time. There's later stuff that would take me a long time to go into. It would take hours, and I don't want to bore the pants off you. But
Oh,
there was, I do remember one other person for the first time that we went up there was in front of the teleportation station that we used to get to Mars, which was a woman named, who I found out later is a woman named Regina Dugan, who was one of the founders of Facebook and also an employee of DARPA. She's quite famous for that. So this was all obviously DARPA/CIA project stuff that I was somehow dragged into, but either because of my dad or because of family that people that I'm descended from, some sort of family connections and stuff.
well, before you go into that, can you explain what Barack Obama's role as a 19-year-old young young man, I guess at that point, what
Yeah.
was his job? What was he doing?
It looked to me like his job was basically to babysit me and to make sure I wasn't eaten by no danger was coming to me, like security guard basically. But he was also there to gather information and intelligence. And I was sort of, because of my ability, my I hate to use the term psychic because it's a cheesy term, but they call them psychic abilities. Because of that, I was better suited for actually getting the information and relaying it to Obama. But um, he himself also actually has these abilities. This is a thing that people may not know about him. He has these types of abilities. Like I can actually, if I meet someone else who has these kinds of abilities, I can link up with them with like almost telepathically and can
Oh wow!
communicate to that person. And that's how I was communicating to him, was through.
Can you still like cook? I'm not gonna say do it right, but you could theoretically do it right now.
Yeah, I could.
Would there be some negative side effects? Because supposedly, I mean,
Yeah,
he is complicit in trying to attempt to steal funds from the Nasara and the prosperity programs.
right.
So I was wondering, maybe he died and was replaced with a clone.
I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't actually know Barack Obama. Like I don't know him personally or anything like that. I've never really spoken with
Yeah,
him
it's probably a better idea. Is that way. Okay.
directly, like other than in these types of
And
situations.
can you just describe what it looked like? I guess you were like in a jump room, right? Like an elevator, kind
Yeah,
of. The,
yeah. There was an elevator. There was a long kind of tunnel, like a corridor, and gang boxes and just bits and just dust everywhere. It was like it was carved out by people.
so it's like
Um,
it's below ground, near the LAX, just south of LAX.
oh, I'm talking about the one on Mars,
Oh yeah, okay, the one on Mars. Okay,
but the station in El Segundo is in a building, or at least was in a building that I think recently was a video game company called Enix or something. Um, it's 999, the famous 999 building in El Segundo with the three nines outside. Um, but for as I'm sure they've done, they move the stuff around to keep it secure because like if too many people know it's there, it becomes security compromise, so they have to move it around. But I know that I tried to find out if the one that I had used had been put through in Calgary was still there, and that's all gone now. It's been turned into a supermarket. So,
hmm.
and that was during the Obama administration, oddly enough, that happened. It might have been there up until that point, but it's gone now. I don't know
So
where it is. So
so yeah, here it is. El
that's the
Segundo.
building. Yeah, the top floor of that building there was in 1980, 81 or so. Uh, a teleportation station that took you to the surface of Mars. I would highly doubt that it's there anymore because I'm talking about it. So you know that if people are talking about it, it's probably gone by now.
So it's game evil on com to us, com to us,
Yeah, interesting,
come
huh?
to us.
And look, 999 upside down is 666, so that's kind of another
Oh wow.
ha ha ha. You know what I mean? But that's
Did it actually look like this? Because it kind of looks like this is the older building from the
yeah,
1980s over here, maybe.
yeah. It's been modernized. In
Okay.
fact, that looks like a new building. I don't know. I
Okay.
think the one there is the building.
Hmm. So basically, all this leads to like a underground complex. There's a shuttle system that can take you all over the world, probably to other, I guess, take you to other jump rooms.
Probably.
Yeah.
Um, but it was when I got back from that I first encountered. Um, See, the order of because I was a kid, the order of things in which they happened is a little jumbled up in my memory, to be completely honest. But it was around that time. It was either due to another weird experience that I had, but around the time of that experience that I first encountered gray aliens, and they were the ones that first introduced me to the concept of what we call time travel. Um, they at that point took me to around 2080, 82, and that's when I was able to figure out the information of who and when these people would become the president. And I don't know why I'd be interested in that because I'm not a political type of person whatsoever. It's just not. I just I like to know. I'm quite interested in history, basically. Like I like to learn as much as I can about history because I like to know why things are the way they are, and I think the experiences of history have really shaped the present and will probably, unfortunately, in many instances, still shape the future. So I'm sort of geared that way. My brain is kind of geared towards like how can we make the world a better place because it's obviously got problems, right? So my understanding of history kind of informs that and helps me to understand how we can not repeat the mistakes of history, maybe if we're smart enough collectively, and take the good parts of it and continue to expound upon them to make the world a better place. But so I've always been that kind of personality, but maybe that's why I was interested in finding out who the presidents were, because if the world is going to be any better, then we probably should have and should make sure that we have good leadership in government. That's probably what led me to be interested in that. But I think it might have been shortly before the teleportation incident, actually, that I first encountered them. And they came to me in my room when I was asleep at night. They literally took me out of my bedroom onto one of the craft, like they through the wall, through the window, into the sky, and onto the craft, which I guess would have been kind of easy because we were in a very kind of isolated part of Calgary, Alberta at the time. It was really quiet, really kind of, it was the city, but it was a really quiet part of the city. So they would have been able to do it without being detected. And this is, I think, what they try to do when they quote unquote abduct people, is make sure that people aren't in heavily populated areas so they don't draw attention to themselves. I think you'll find that most of your abduction experiences and this types of thing are done on farmers and rural communities and this kind of stuff. It's not very often in the city.
And why do you think they targeted you? I mean, I guess because you're
yeah,
but what else?
because before that, I had seen some things that I probably shouldn't have seen also, which was when I was camping. I saw a giant craft. And at that point, I was still a small child. I had no frame of reference to it. And there was this giant thing floating in the sky in the mountains. And I was looking at it, I'm like, that's cool. What is that? And it was, I would compare it to the size of like a city block in Manhattan. It was gigantic. And there were people in it. I could see windows, I could see human beings, and I could see other life forms that weren't human in through the windows. And they were working together on things. I just thought it was really interesting. And I think they came to me because I had seen that. And I don't know if I saw it. It was probably a mistake that I saw it.
What if that was your future self on that craft, going back in time?
Yeah, that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
You want to try to remote view it? You don't have to do it right now.
Well, yeah, it would be interesting to see myself in the mountains again, as a child. But
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, what about like maybe your family connection? So I think you said your father worked for who?
Well, my dad was actually initially in the Irish Army. He was born and raised in Dublin,
Oh wow.
and what happened? He ended up in initially he ended up in Canada, and then he ended up in, well, he lived and worked in all over the place, really. But after a point, he ended up in Canada. Then he ended up in the United States. Then I came along. Then we went for a time to Dublin again. Then we went to Boston again. I'm from Boston. then we went to Calgary, and that's when all that stuff happened.
Hmm.
And then after, we were only there for a little while, like a little over a year, just under like a year and a half or something like that. Then from there we went to Boston again, then Dublin, then London, then finally back to the United States, where I'm at Boston area, where I spent the rest of my childhood, teens, 20s, 30s growing up. And so, yeah, my life has been centered around pretty much entirely around Boston, Massachusetts, and Cambridge. But I've been all over the place as well because of my own life that I started. I'm a musician. I studied music growing up and started a band when I was a teenager, and we traveled all over the country, all over the planet, really.
What type of instruments do you play, or instruments?
I can get by on a lot of things, but in the group, primarily when we're performing live, I'm the vocalist and I play guitar. But in the recording studio, I can get by on just about everything. I produce a lot of the stuff, and um, that's what I do. I was never in the military, never joined the military, never liked the military, frankly. I was always kind of like very distrustful of the military growing up. I never wanted to be involved with it, never wanted to be part of anything to do with it. Um, so saw my friends get sent off to Bosnia and get shot at and stuff like this. So I was never like a supporter of the Iraq War or anything like that. I was never um, involved with anything to do with that. Um,
So what about like a connection to how you think you said Howard Hughes?
yeah, my dad is a descendant of Howard Hughes. Um, that doesn't really mean anything to me personally in terms of any benefit, I don't think. But I mean, he was the richest man in America at the time, but I don't have any of his money. Like,
And I think it was Jimmy Payne who said this, that he was helped build out a lot of the underground DUMBs,
mm,
and basically his DNA is encoded into the security locks of all these
yeah,
underground facilities. So when he died, the I guess the shadow government, whatever runs these facilities, they realize it's a lot easier to just clone them and to
mm,
keep them using the open the locks instead of trying to change all the security. So they apparently they did clone him. So he's probably still alive, working
yeah.
on Mars, probably.
I don't think Howard actually died either when he publicly stated that he died, or when it was publicly stated that he died. Um,
So that's why he didn't get inheritance, because he's still using his money
well,
somewhere.
I don't
Another
need his money
facility on
anymore.
Mars, probably on Cariclo or something like that, or Ceres.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
wow.
I'm successful enough on my own. You know, I don't need Howard Hughes's money, but
Well,
maybe
okay.
that's a
So if
family
you've been to
thing.
the future, then you can tell us. Can you tell us what kind of investments we should make, or is that gonna will that change?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Everything is definitely going to be more digital. So logically there, I think this new world of digital currency is a no-brainer. It seems like we're going to be using more and more digital money in the future. Things like obviously the big ones like Bitcoin, um, probably XRP, these types of things.
How about Theta Coin? Theta Coin.
Theta Coin, I don't know about that one specifically, but I do know Bitcoin is here to stay. That's not going anywhere.
I had
So
a I had a psychic years ago tell me that it was going to go to $100 million a coin. So
I
and
can believe that it will.
that's probably because the U.S. dollar goes down to almost nothing, but still it is going to be going up.
Yeah. I don't think we'll miss the US dollar. I think there will be people who still want it stay around and continue. But we the people know that it's basically being used to abuse us at this point, and it's being used to perpetuate wars that we don't need to be involved in. It's being used to control the American people. Um, we don't really need it anymore, do we? I know I don't. So I'll be fine when it goes to zero.
Is that what the historical records show?
I can't be specifically dogmatic about that, but it seems logical, actually. It just seems logical, It's like
Wow.
when the US government can go into your bank account and seize all of your money simply because you said something that hurts the feelings of somebody who works in Washington D.C. The money that money system is basically valueless anymore. So it's like
Exactly.
we needed to replace it anyway. So here we are. We've got Bitcoin.
Okay, so you say XRP is going to still be around in the future, so that's not going to be going to zero.
I think so. Yeah, I think it will be.
What about, okay, so you don't know about Theta Coin. So Bitcoin, probably XLM, the stellar lumens.
Probably, yeah, probably all of the ones that we know right now that are kind of
Okay.
name
So,
brands. I'm sure there will be other ones as well. But I mean, like for instance, I discovered this great token, this coin that I think is actually better than Bitcoin, but it probably won't eclipse Bitcoin. But I can see it being in the top 5 eventually. And it's only been out for like a year. It's called Caspa. Have you heard of that?
Caspa.
Mhm.
Is it spelled this way?
Kaspa. That's it. Yeah.
Because you can see, I mean, it's gone up from not even 2/10 of a penny.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's gone up so much. You still think it's good place to invest, even though it's gone up so much?
Yeah, I think that will be a few dollars this year. Looking at it from here, it seems logical.
All right.
And what I know about that project, it's definitely a sound project. It's it's a valuable commodity right there.
Okay. Any other coins? Were you able to see anything on what'd you say, 2082?
Yeah,
Everybody
that's what
was
I
using
was.
Bitcoin, pretty much. Something
I'm
else?
sure I'm sure Ethereum was up there. Like, I mean, that's not really going to go anywhere either because everything, all the other stuff, a lot of the other stuff is based on it. Probably your main network coins like the Polygon network token and these types of things will probably still be around because they're the backbones of the networks themselves. So
What do you think about this comment from Mark? We can't really use those type of words here, but if we could read it, how would you comment about that?
Bitcoin was for child
Wait,
trafficking.
no, I said you can't read that.
Oh, you can't. That's
You can read it to but not say it.
okay.
Oh my gosh, I guess it was my fault. I told you the wrong thing.
Oh, sorry about that.
Well, no, it was my fault. So, but anyway, the cat's out of the bag. So tell us, what would you say about that?
Well, the United States dollar was. Think about who was the biggest drug dealer in world history. What was his name?
Poppy.
The
Bush.
Colombian guy there.
Oh,
What's his name?
Noriega.
No. The biggest cocaine trafficker in human history used the United States dollar. So what's the difference? Money is inherently a tool that gets abused regardless. So it's the US dollar was used for human trafficking as well, and child trafficking and pornography and drug trafficking and funding the Vietnam War, funding the Iraq War, you name it. It's money itself as an entity is going to be used for corrupt things because that's the nature of human beings. But if we can use something that is going to shield us against that, then it's probably a better thing to switch over to. And Pablo Escobar, yes, there you go. He had vaults and vaults of United States dollars when he was the biggest drug dealer in the world. So, and I'm not just picking on the U.S. dollar. Don't get me wrong. I'm an American, but I think all currencies are going to be replaced, not just the United States dollar. It seems like the pound is going away, the euro is going away. They're all going away because they're inherently corruptible and
So,
easily used for.
but how will governments be able to do taxation if it's all like on a blockchain? And
Yeah, hopefully never. Don't you think?
you have to go out and make money just like everybody. I mean, they could do a tax retirement fund, a TRF. It's sort of like a pension fund, right? But we have tax instead of the funds paying for pensions, it retires taxes. So there's ways of doing it now. We don't have to do any taxation. And, you know, there's a huge amount, billions and billions of dollars are spent on attorneys every year and for tax compliance. We can it's just extremely inefficient, the whole thing. But
my opinion is that, you know, if the U.S. government, for instance, is going to be a corporation and we as citizens of it are effectively employees of that corporation, then shouldn't we get paid from that corporation? That's what I think. It's like, why can't the government actually give us money instead of taxing us? It doesn't make any sense. They have the power to create money.
Absolutely. We can do like a dividend fund where people can get their own. So that way we can like eliminate poverty. So like universal basic income. And it's not going to be socialism because it doesn't really exist. This type of finance model doesn't exist anywhere. It hasn't exist. Well, maybe it has in the past. Maybe.
Yeah.
But
I'm not a socialist or a communist either. I just think it's, you know,
but you know, on the other hand, we have most of the stock market. It's all 90% of all institutional investors are owned by various hedge funds and and these institutional investors go back to BlackRock. And again, it's all the same families that type of money. It all stays in their own hands. So everything like really is a communist type situation because it's all owned by, we could say the government, but the government is owned by the same people. So we're not in a system, where there's a free market per se.
I know it's definitely, I would call it neo-feudalist. A lot of what goes on, but
and even when they say like GDP, the GDP of the United States was $20 trillion last year. Well, that's the public sector. Once you include the underground facilities, off-world activities, you know, it's probably only like 10% of the economy. So if we can just rein that in, you know, stop dropping all this money. I mean, sure, we should support off-world colonies, but they need to support themselves. And ultimately the money should be coming here because the United States, we need our own, like we had a Marshall Plan where we built up Germany after World War II. We need to build high-speed rails. I mean, I know they already exist underground. Anyway, guys, I'm so sorry. That's why I asked Michael if I was a president in the future. He said no. But,
that's what
maybe I should be. I don't know. Put my name in his records.
If you look at my website, one of the things that I'm advocating for as a potential candidate for president is that we should be investing in, like, if the federal government could literally just take a few $1 billion, which is nothing to the federal government, it's nothing at all, and build cryptocurrency mining operations around the country, we could literally pay every man, woman, and child in America a regular payment in Bitcoin. And it would be no skin off the back of the American government. It would be an investment in the people, and it would actually help overall. There's no reason the government couldn't do something like that. And if I somehow magically ended up in the office of President of the United States, I would be doing that like the first month. I'd be like, hey, look, $1 billion, get the money, build the stuff, and get it. Everybody in America get their own Bitcoin address, Bitcoin wallet. give it to the central database, and you'll get money paid out to you regularly. I
Oh,
don't
wow.
with the technology and brains that we have in America, there's no reason whatsoever that we couldn't be doing that. It just seems.
So I mean, with Bitcoin, you have to have computing power, and that equates to electricity. But maybe if we have free energy technology released, then that doesn't really matter anymore. So essentially, it become was it an asymmetrical type of graph or so yeah, to the point where we all can the fun money become unlimited. There's no limitations. So
Yeah.
that doesn't really, I guess that in that particular model, you really wouldn't have hyperinflation because the assets are worth something. But I guess people would still have to work. It won't be in just enough funds to go on vacation for the rest of your life, probably, maybe. We haven't got to that point. We can all turn the whole world into a paradise one day.
Maybe.
One day.
Maybe by 2082. That's the thing. It's like that.
Was it pretty nice where you were?
Yeah, I remember the location I was at too in 2082, and it was actually the very same hotel that I was staying at when I was visited by the gray aliens in 2019 that brought me to that I used the ship to go to Roswell. So it was the same location, and once again, that was in Dublin. Seems like, well, which is where I am right now. I recently got a house here, so I'm living in two countries at the moment, which is it's nice. But it's like, yeah, in 2080 it was definitely really nice. It seemed like there was a lot more development, and I was kind of able to see what the world had been through, and it looked like it had been through some difficult stuff, but overall the course of it had been shaped towards a good present. And the problems of nationalism particularly, and conflict that historically has arisen because of nationalism and religion, had been all but erased, with a few kind of minor things going on. But it seemed like those things were left by and large in the 20th century. And it seems like at this point right now, we're still there's a lot of people who've been around since, the early part of the 20th century still, and they're trying to hold on to that stuff. But it seems like we're going the opposite direction. Like the younger generation is just going away from it. Seems like less religious, although people will likely still believe in God and these types of things. But it seems like religion just won't even be much of an influence in society anymore. Which, with all of the information that we have already at our fingertips, it seems maybe to some people that it shouldn't be already, but it probably will be for a while.
So Andrew Basiago said that, I think he said by 2032, the chronovisor technology will be released to public libraries. So anybody could go in there and, I guess, maybe holographically, I'm not sure how it works, but view the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and you can see Saint Germain standing up there, and then you could go back to, I think they always say the first thing they want to look at is the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And I had like 2 or 3 people remote view it, and they all said that there's about 1,000 people in the audience that were time travelers.
Wow.
From all different times. I'm like, okay, but apparently, yeah. So you could see that the Council of Nicaea, they deleted reincarnation from the Bible. Like, whoa, So we have so essentially there really is no reason to judge anybody else because they're all doing their own thing, and all you're doing is judging yourself because we're all the same fragments of God. But anyway, but I think some people still, I think you should probably judge what's wrong. But if say for example, I don't have any tattoos, right? But some people like look at that like, oh, that's weird. But if they were Native American or tribal in their past lives, and they're doing what makes them that makes them feel beautiful. So how is it your right to judge them? So anyway,
Yeah.
okay, Michael.
I don't have any tattoos either. But.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny. There isn't I don't think there is a single tattoo artist in the secret space program because if you get your arm cut off, they have to put it back. When they return you. So yeah, typically, it's part of your programming to not get tattoos.
Huh.
If you were in that. Well,
I just know it's weird. It's weird to me, for me, because I've been in a rock band for a long time, and one particular band lineup I had, I was the only guy with no tattoos, which is weird being the singer.
Okay.
Why do you have tattoos?
So let's see here. Let's go through your bio. So I think we have to go over. So what happened with Roswell? So you were 45 and you picked up a craft. How did you actually? So the Greys picked you up, right out of your house, I guess.
I was visiting family in Dublin, and I was staying at a hotel, and the hotel is in kind of a quiet section of the city. It's on the outskirts of the city, really, and it was late at night once again, and I was just lying there in bed, the bed. And they came to me and they took me out of the room again. And next thing I knew, I was in the craft. But this time it was different because they actually let me fly it. And so I was suddenly piloting this UFO craft. And it's weird how you pilot them. You could like do it with your mind and like this. You can kind of tell it where to go with your mind and kind of direct it a little bit by just sort of, I don't know if it's like biometrically attuned to you or something, but that's what I was doing. And I just instantaneously knew that I had to do something really radical with it. So I flew it back in time to 1945, across the ocean and into the Texas, New Mexico desert area and crashed it on purpose. Because I wanted to get the attention of the United States government, particularly the president, because I knew that if disclosure of I had been encountering extraterrestrials my whole life. So to me, it was nothing unusual, except it was always really annoying when I would say that I believed in aliens to people and they thought I was crazy. So I had to somehow prove to the world that this was real. And so I knew I had to do this. So I crashed it, and suddenly the army was all around me, and they asked me if like, what is this? Where are you from? Like, are you German or something? They thought I was flying a German craft. I'm like, no, I'm American, but I'm from the future. And there's just a lot of puzzlement and confusion going on. And
were you wearing like civilian clothing from
5
years ago and like where?
Yep.
Like I was wearing tennis shoes or something.
Yeah, I was wearing like cowboy boots.
And they were wondering. So wait a minute. Okay, let's back up. So the Greys allowed you to fly this craft. Why? They were just trying to be nice to you.
I don't know. I mean, I think they probably realize a lot of things about us that we can't yet fully grasp. Like their involvement in human affairs is sort of, I'm certain, has a much bigger picture than we can generally comprehend. So it seems like they were like they knew what was going to happen and came to me because they knew that I would help make it happen and that it had to happen somehow. It's almost like a time loop, I think they call it, right? Where something is meant to happen but won't happen unless you actually go ahead and do it. Kind of like that.
So,
So
so
they,
you made a donation to the U.S. government in
yeah.
1947 at
Yep.
Roswell. Okay, well, tell us about the actual impact. I mean, surely you would have been crushed to smithereens, right?
No, not necessarily. I wasn't injured in any way. I must be, I guess, pretty good at crashing things and not getting hurt. I've been in a lot of car accidents. I did grow up in Boston, which I don't know if you know anything about it, but we describe Boston people describe Boston as traffic anarchy, and it's almost impossible to grow up in or even near the city without having been in some kind of car accident. The roads are old. It's just not suited for cars in a lot of places. It was built when horses were being used, and so it's now full of cars and highways, and people are still. It's still in that mindset of like cobblestone roads, and people are crashing into each other all the time. Everybody I know from Boston has been in a car accident, um, so it's not that unusual. So I'm having grown up there. I've been in quite a few of them. So maybe just using that experience, I know how to survive a car accident or an accident. So I crashed the craft, but I was unhurt. Maybe I was a little stunned, but it was nothing that I couldn't just ignore and move forward in the way that I needed to move forward, that I knew I needed to move forward, which was to get the attention of the military and get them to bring me to the president at the time, which was Harry Truman.
Okay, well, hold on. Let's just back up. So you crashed, and I guess it looks like Teflon foil is all over the desert just north of Roswell. I think it's like 25 miles north of Roswell, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Yeah.
so what happens next? The Greys, some of them died around you, right?
One of them died in the crash. Um, but from what I understand about the Greys, is that like dying doesn't really mean anything to them. They can kind of just come like reanimate themselves. So it's like they have the physical body, but what's in it can just be taken out and put into another physical body, even if that physical body is destroyed. So it's like they don't really die.
So it's not
Um,
TAV.
not like that. It's
Different definition.
completely different. But
All right. So what happens? So you're out there. There's a dead body nearby. What do you do? What do you guys do? Just wait till helicopter shows up.
they well, there weren't helicopters. They were just army vehicles, sort of like the ones that they have in like the TV show MASH. You know, those the army canopy trucks with the canopy that they used to cart things along in. There was no helicopter, nothing flying at all. Did helicopters even exist back in
I know. I
1945?
was just thinking about that. I guess it was 47.
I can't remember.
I, I feel like they would. Does anybody know that question? What year was okay? Let me look it up.
You
Right now.
know, well, here's another thing. The crash actually happened in 1945. It's said on disclosure records of it that it happened in 1947, but it actually didn't. It happened in 1945, but they kept it quiet because of the war. Um, so they didn't make it public
So
until.
Sikorsky, here's one in 39, but it looks like
Okay.
there was one in 1924 by Folk. Henrik Folk. I don't say that. I'm gonna get
Okay.
censored if I say that word, but but anyway.
So
Well, okay.
they did have them. Obviously, then I didn't know that, but I did not see any. There weren't any around me, and I don't remember seeing any at all back in 1945. They must have not been used in the general in everyday society at all, because I didn't see one single helicopter in the 1940s.
Okay, so the army shows up. What is like the first things they tell you? Do they ask you, "Are you okay?" Or they just scream at you with a gun?
No, they thought I was perhaps a German flying some sort of weird German craft, because they're like, "Is this German? Like, are you German?" It was like, "No, I'm not German. I'm American, but I'm from the future." And the guy would just walk away and scratch his head and be like, "Okay, well," and then I said, and I'm like, "I need to see the president," and they start, talking to each other. And then one came back to me and it's like, "Okay, well, considering the circumstances of considering the situation, I think we can make that happen." So they took me in a vehicle that they came along in, all the way to Washington D.C. via back roads. Um, there weren't really any highways; it was all just back roads. What we would call back roads now; those were the main roads back
And
then.
the trains as well. So, but I guess they didn't want you on public transit because you would have been considered a top secret or.
Yeah, probably, or who knows? I don't know. But so they wanted to keep it hush hush. But they brought me to the White House, um, and I met Harry Truman. I was introduced to Harry Truman, and someone had obviously briefed him on what was on me coming in. Because he immediately said to me, he's like, "If you're a time traveler, how do we end this war?" So I told him what the history record shows, how the war ended with the invasion of Normandy and the atomic bomb being used on Japan. And they went ahead and did that. And the war ended. And I was still there all the way up until 1947, when on September 24th, 1947, they got the president, Harry Truman, and a lot of his trusted admirals and business leaders and these types of things, and myself, set up this organization known today as MJ12, or Majestic 12. MJ being me. My middle name is James, Michael James. And we picked the day 9/24/47. So it would be, for a reason. If you add 9/24, what do you get? You get 13, right? 13 original United States. And also 1947 is an important year in world history, because it's the year that I believe Ireland gained its full independence from Britain, which it was under.
Oh wow! So you went back. Okay, so Roswell's in 45, and so that means Harry Truman must have just. I think it said he got in office in April of 45. The atomic bomb went in August. So you must have been in there somewhere between April to August. And but you told me in private that Harry Truman didn't know there was an atomic bomb, or that's what he was claiming.
Yeah.
Maybe he
Yeah,
did know. He was denying it.
Well, well, from the conversation that he had around me, he seemed to not know what the atomic bomb was, because he asked somebody, "Do we have this thing called an atomic bomb?" Because he didn't know. He was at least letting it be known that he didn't know, or making it look like he didn't know what it was. And I remember someone saying to him that, "Yeah, it's an experimental test thing still, but we do have that."
Because it would have been like really secretive. I don't know what year the Manhattan Project. I mean, I think they probably kept it secret even way after the war. But oh wow. Okay, so it was like, oh, we dropped. So we're gonna drop. So what else? What else did he ask you? Any other questions? So Did he? Do you
Any
remember?
specific questions about that? No, I mean, I got to talking to him a good bit, and he was more interested in how the future would end up in his line of questioning towards me, like what's the future like, and what are things better? You know, his general concern seemed to be with making sure that the future was a better place and that things would be better in the future, and that everything that he was doing wasn't for no reason, and that everything that they were doing wasn't for no reason.
So did you give him some advice? Oh, by the way, build an interstate system in the United States. The roads are too slow. In the future, we have highways, and maybe they got the idea to start
Yeah,
putting.
maybe I'm not sure if I meant. I don't think I
Okay.
mentioned anything specifically about that, but I think he was definitely. I could tell from the conversation that he was a very sort of Christian oriented person without even having to talk about his beliefs or my beliefs or anything like that. He seemed very sort of like a biblical believing type of person, which I understand that way of thinking. So he seemed more concerned with the well-being of people and things turning out well for people, and that was his general line of questioning towards me, wanting to know that what he was doing would be good for people. Um, and I kind of assured him that, yeah, people are happier and healthier and blah, 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 blah. And the world is turning into a better place. It's for people. Um, it might take a long time. It won't even be in your lifetime that a lot of stuff, great stuff will happen, but it is going in a more positive direction. And,
Wow.
um, and so like, he did realize that what he was doing, what he had to do was very serious, and a lot of people were going to die. But he also did realize that if he didn't do that, that more people would have died. Like he really understood that fact. It was
Did
just
you
sort of.
did you have access to Chronovisor and you could see different timelines? Oh, so we didn't drop the bomb. So supposedly Japan actually surrendered before that bomb was dropped, but they wanted like a virgin target to experiment on, see what would happen. So do you have that information?
I don't. As far as I know, the reason that they bombed those locations was because those were Japanese military manufacturing locations, and that was a way to put a full stop to the war machine in Japan, because they could no longer manufacture a lot of their weaponry.
Okay. All right. So at that point, you got to meet Roscoe Hillenkoetter.
I did, yeah. And the odd thing is, once again, my dad is actually a relative of Roscoe Hillenkoetter's, but he would be my. I'm trying to think what the relationship is. He was my. Okay, so he was married to my dad's great aunt from Missouri. Her last name was Clark. I can't remember her first name, but she was a blood relative of mine, and Roscoe was married to her. So he would have been like my great great uncle or something like that. But he didn't know that. I never told him. But I did meet him, and when it was time for me to go back to where they had picked me up from, Roscoe was learning how to pilot the craft with the help of the alien, the gray that had survived the crash. He was teaching Roscoe how to fly the craft, and I was just a passenger on it. And this time, when the craft brought me back, it was very, very slow. It was, when I had flown it, it was like really fast, instantaneous crash. It was like over and done with in under 5 seconds, to under 10 seconds tops. When they flew it back, it took maybe 30 minutes of their time. And then I was put back right into the location that they picked me up from.
So it was like kind of a damaged craft limping along, because I guess they would have tried to repair it the best they could.
Yeah,
1940s technology.
That's true. They must have been repairing it, probably with the help of the ET that was on it, because who else could? I don't think humans would have the technology in 1947 to repair extraterrestrial craft. But the reason that I did that was because really at the time I was kind of obsessed with helping to get the truth about this subject out to people so that they could make their own sort of informed decision on whether or not they believe in this stuff, and not be constantly subjected to the suppression and denial and discrediting and ad hominem attacks towards everybody who comes forward and says, yeah, I've seen aliens, I believe in aliens, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to help to usher in some kind of disclosure and help to make the disclosure movement a bigger thing. And I really didn't consciously know that I was going to be doing that, but it just seemed like the right thing to do. And it is what it is, and it is what happened. And I really had no control over it. I was just in it. It's almost as though I was. It's almost as though I was a character in a script that had already been written. I was just there to read the lines almost.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. How's your energy levels? Do you feel like we should just wrap this up right now, or is there something else you wanted to share?
Well, that's just a handful of things that I've experienced, and there is a lot more to talk about. But it's, as you can see, I have an entire book here of things that I've.
Oh, can you turn around? Let me see what's it called.
Well, it's just labeled here. First of all, there's the don't be coerced into being.
No. Yeah, just don't say that, please.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, sorry. Again, my 13th strike. Regression, ET, time travel, remote viewing, I can't see the other word. What is it? Share viewing?
Chrono.
Chrono viewing. What is chrono telepathy? What is that?
Oh, well, geez, that's
communicating into the future.
That's exactly what it is. It's communicating through time telepathically with someone else who is in a different point in time, but can actually communicate with you in the point in time that you are in, or vice versa.
Wow.
It's a real phenomenon.
Oh my gosh. Can you communicate to your future self, the president version of Macintosh?
I suppose I could, but it's more the type of thing where I actually receive communications from other people.
Okay.
But I can sort of talk back to them. But I'm more the receiver of those communications than the deliverer of them. I'm always listening, and I hear.
If President Macintosh could go back in time and go back to that moment when he came public on Super Soldier Talk, what message would he tell the public, the world, from his presidential side of the fence?
Oh, just please don't blow each other up.
Good advice.
What's the point? Life's too short to be trying to blow each other up. Just get along. I don't know. I mean,
okay. All
That's
right.
that's what I'm here to try to help make happen. Still, is make sure that we don't blow each other up. So I'm
Well,
stuck here until we make sure of that, I think.
can you tell us any other future technology you saw in 2082, like flying cars or teleportation everywhere?
I wish that were true, but it's not as commonplace as perhaps we would like it to be, but it is. It is there, and at least in the location that I was in, it is there, and
What is there?
teleportation is there, and there's a lot more lights. The buildings are taller. Um, the air seems cleaner, which is nice, refreshing, because a lot of the air in this world at this moment is kind of dirty and gross, and um, I just remember everything kind of smelling nicer.
And why do you think religions go away? The truths are made known.
Yeah, because well, I'm sure they no longer will serve a purpose. Well, they don't. I mean, look, I'm not going to lie. If I end up becoming president, there's not going to be any religion anymore. I'm going to invade the Vatican on the first day of office.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess coronavirus, they probably did look into the future. I bet you, because the Vatican, they were working on that technology, right? With
Mhm.
Father Armenti, I think his name was. So he had like a television screen that could like hear like white noise or something. And I think they were like measuring echoes and cathedrals, like in echoes in time. And then they realized they can put it on a screen because Jimmy Payne said he was working on that, the original coronavisor. So I would say after they looked at Jesus Christ, they probably looked into the future. What would
Yeah.
they have saw about the Vatican? What happens?
Well, I think I know at some point that the Vatican is going to be shut down. I just don't know when. I would logically assume that if America has an Irish American president in 2028 who isn't Catholic, by the way, and never was, there's not going to be a Vatican anymore. Because I'm sure that you understand the history between the Catholic Church and my people is fraught with all kinds of horrific things, and I would like to see my people do well, and I don't care if that means destroying the Catholic Church, because as far as I'm concerned, they're just a criminal organization.
Okay.
So
Let's be careful what we say. I think you too might label this as abusive, bullying, and abuse. I don't know. Oh my gosh, I want to tell you so bad, but it was somebody who supposedly died in prison, but we didn't know he didn't die, and he had an island somewhere. Yeah. And so I
oh,
got
that
in trouble.
one.
Yes. Yeah, I got in trouble with YouTube. So, oh my gosh, they said it was bullying talking about him. So
Oh
yeah.
wow.
So
Yeah,
anyway,
you need to be careful. Huh?
I feel like I have a lot more questions, but I think I think both of us are maybe a little tired here. So how about this? How about
Hmm.
we bring you back? I'd like to bring you back in May. What would you like to talk about in a future show? What do you think?
Well, I'd be happy to talk about whatever you want to talk about. We have a lot more in here that we haven't even touched on, so we could pick
Did,
something from
did you
here.
go? Yeah, did you go in the past even further?
Most of my experiences have not really been to the past, actually. Um,
So you have been to the future, not 2082, but maybe a different date.
yeah, but this there's a lot of stuff that can change because of timelines changing. Like history can be influenced and changed. It isn't necessarily um, completely different, but it can change in certain instances. And
Yeah, like Andrew Basiago, he kept saying he was going to be president back in, was it 2016?
yeah,
Essentially, in that timeline, Obama came out and told the public the truth about the secret space program and jump rooms and Andrew Basiago commented that he thinks that Obama was under contract with the CIA to basically not say anything about it to help cover it up. For, I guess, my opinion, nefarious reasons. But
I don't think Obama will ever talk about a lot of the stuff he's been involved in, because it's not really his job. One of the stipulations that the formation of Majestic 12 has still up to this day is that the organization will continue to exist until there's been enough disclosure that there's enough truth available to the public that about this stuff that it's satisfactorily completely disclosed, and it still exists as far as I know to this day, as far as I can see.
It supposedly has been expanded to PI 40, so now there's 40 members instead of 13 members. Have you heard anything about this?
There are a lot more than 12 people, and a lot more than 12 people now, that's for sure. But there will always kind of be the main 12 until the organization is no longer relevant, which I assume will be before 2082. I would think probably long before then. I hope so, because it just seems to me to be really basic that people should know and understand the nature of the universe in this regard, because we're absolutely not alone. And
so what can you Nancy, I think our guest said you went to Dublin, right, in 2082.
Yeah.
So what do you have any ideas what the United States would look like
in the 21st century?
Does Las Vegas wither away? We know if money goes away, there's no reason to gamble anymore unless it's turned into an intergalactic spaceport, Area 51.
I think
one of my prosperity projects.
I think it will be a lot nicer. I think there might actually be cities that don't yet exist.
Are we talking about like in a biodome?
I'm not sure. Maybe, yeah. I think cities like Chicago are just going to be much bigger.
So Chicago still exists. It's not called New Chicago with the New Madrid fault breaking apart. That doesn't happen.
No, I don't think. No big kind of massive changes. It just seems like a gradual positive change, overall.
So I think the floating cities are more like 2150 going out even further. But did you witness any floating cities?
Oh, definitely flying cars, I think, by the later part of this century. Although not as much in Europe. But there's sort of more, it just seems to me overall that there's sort of more overlap in terms of internationalism, like cultures are more overlapped. Like when I was in 2082 and I was in Dublin, it was still, it seemed very not Irish. Like, I mean, it's in Ireland, and now today, the culture is still very specifically Irish. But in 2082, there was no kind of like one particular culture. It was sort of like all the cultures all put together. It seems
that's because of the jump rooms basically eliminate international borders.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's definitely going to be more of the case, I think. And media and communication are sort of blurring away those lines in the sand anyway. We're all kind of, it seems to me like every culture is adopting all of the best parts of every other culture. I mean, for instance, like you've heard Russian hip hop, right?
Oh no, I guess I'm going to have to listen to that one.
It's really good.
Oh my God. Does it include a lot of breakdancing? But good.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely dance to it. If you
Okay.
look on SoundCloud, for instance. Do you ever listen to SoundCloud music?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, go on like SoundCloud and look for like Russian hip hop, and like there are genres that are just not even very popular right now, but they're embracing so many parts of um, all of the cultures that there are. It's almost mind numbing if you're really not like it would blow your mind, I guess, at first if you're not aware of what's actually going on. But it just seems like we're taking like all the best bits of everywhere are being adopted by everywhere else. So it really is almost like we're going to have a one world culture eventually, which is
Nice.
has its good and its bad, I suppose.
So
But
like a one world type currency, maybe.
yeah, like Bitcoin.
There you go, Tom. Okay. Shall we call it?
Okay.
Yeah. How can people learn more about you?
I have a website, macintoshusa.org, or they can just Google me, Michael Macintosh. I'm in Google, so.
Macintosh USA. Okay, great. And the crypto you like are Caspa, XRP, Bitcoin, and Ethereum.
I'm definitely into Caspa, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. I really love Shiba Inu. You know Shiba Inu?
No, how do you spell that?
Huge fan of it's SHIB, SHIB.
SHIB.
Mm-hmm.
Shiba Inu. I think it's
Yep.
okay. Nice. All right. And so that's all. Are those all long-term holds?
Yep. Never selling.
Okay. There you go. All right, guys. Thank you all. We will all see you later. Update news. I'm going to Los Angeles. I'll be there April 11th to 14th to speak at the Alien event. So the description, you can get a ticket for that, is in the description. Other updates, if you want to learn more about the work I do, you can get a copy of my book, Lone Wolf. It's on neological tech. You can also get yourself a meditation cube to relax. You can put it on your lap. It has pyramids inside of it that produce chi energy, and it's a chi energizer, so it helps you enhance your energy while you're meditating. So yeah, and if you want to, you can make a donation to my nonprofit, Healing Soul Survivors. It helps out with the travel costs because yeah, I'm not getting paid any money to go out to. I'm using my own money to go out there. So but it is.
Do you have a Bitcoin address?
I do.
Okay.
Okay, I'll shoot that over to you. I tell you what. Let me just send that right now. All right, I think it'll be easier to put in the video description. So thank you all, Michael. Michael, audience members, we'll send you all love and light, and we'll see you all later. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay. Maybe I'll see you in Los Angeles.
Okay, all right. If you want to, you can stay on, and we can have a little after talk. Please consider supporting Super Soldier Talk by purchasing your own Neo Meditation device. Your Neo Meditation device will help you reduce stress, integrate trauma, enhance intuition, enhance clairvoyance, and enhance creativity. Get yours now at www.neologicaltech.com.